Hey guys, it's Aaron. Today we're going to be replacing the high pressure power steering line on this Nissan Titan. This particular Titan is actually 2004, but the procedure is the same 2004 through 2015. 204-wheel drive, doesn't matter. It's a pretty simple procedure, no special tools needed. Pretty common leak. I've replaced several of these hoses. It just seems after time they do start to leak. Now, as you can see right here, there is a pressure switch we will need to replace. Actually, we'll need to swap over to our new one, so we'll have to take that off the line and swap it over, but it's fairly simple. So let's go ahead and go with the tools you'll need to get the job done. Alright, so here's the tools we're going to need to get the job done. A torque wrench for the Banjo bolt on the power steering pump. I'm using a 1/2-inch wrench, 10 millimeter. These 210 millimeters are going to be for taking off the bracket that is on the other side of the vehicle. You'll see in a little bit. If you have a swivel ratchet, it helps out a lot. 18 millimeter wrench, 7/8 or 21 millimeter, and a 5/16 or 1 inch will work on there. And then what we're going to need for socket wise is a 24 millimeter for our Banjo bolt and a 27 millimeter for the sensor on the line that we have to swap to our new line. So before this video begins, please like and subscribe, and let's get going. Alright, now the first step, obviously make sure the ignition is off and the truck is not running. Second step is going to be to disconnect this sensor right here. So all you're going to have to do is just pinch the connector and it comes right off. Very simple. We'll just keep that out of the way. Now what we're going to do is remove the bolt that goes on the side. Kind of hard to see from the top here, so what I did is I went ahead and removed my fenders to give you guys a little bit better views. But what you're going to want to do is get that wrench down in here and remove that bolt. So with the fender removed, here's the bolt, the Banjo bolt that holds on this line. I'm going to go ahead now, take my, sorry I said 22 millimeter, I believe earlier it's actually a 5/16 or 24 millimeter. We'll remove this. Of course, as you can see, it is leaking a little bit, and I'm going to have to probably get my drain pan under here to catch any fluid that spills. Alright, so I'm going to let the reservoir drain for a little bit. Just want to show you where mine was leaking. Right at this crimp, I believe right here is where it started to leak. The reservoir would run dry after about a week of filling it, so seems to be a pretty common issue with these hoses. Right where the metal hits the rubber, and looks like up here I've got a lot of leak too. So now we're going to go underneath the vehicle and work on the bottom part of the line, removing it and getting it out. So here we are underneath the front of the Titan, and we're looking up towards the oil filter area. Here's the line that's leaking. If your truck has an engine skid plate, you're going to need to remove it. I believe 4 10 millimeter bolts will remove that, but here's a bracket we're going to have to remove before we can get the line off. There's 2 10 millimeter head bolts, one that holds the lines together and then one that goes down and bolts this bracket to the frame. We're going to need to remove those first. Alright, so we got the bracket removed, and I need to make a little correction. There's actually 3 bolts that you need to remove. 2 that hold the bracket to the frame and 1 bolt that keeps the lines together. So once you get that removed, now we can work on our fitting. Go ahead and take your 7/8 or 21 millimeter and your 14 millimeter or 9/16, and what you're going to do is spin or turn the 14 millimeter or 9/16 and remove this line. Once we do that, the line will be free to take off. Alright, so we got our fitting off at the bottom where it connects to the rack. And what we could do now is just simply snake it over and take it out. Now we're going to take it to the bench so we can remove and swap over our old filter, or our old sensor. Okay, as you see, we have the old line off and it's side by side with the new line. First thing we're going to need to do is take off this sensor. What I did is using an 18 millimeter, hold the line, and with a 27 millimeter, you could take off your sensor. Depending on where you buy your hose or your line from, you're probably going to have to replace this O-ring that's on the sensor. Luckily, purchased mine through O'Reilly Auto Parts, and it did come with a new O-ring, so I'm going to install that at this time and then plug it in to my new line. So we do have the new sensor on. I couldn't find a torque specification, so just make sure it's good and tight. Now we're going to put this back on the vehicle, and the first end we're going to mess with is the Banjo bolt that comes through here. Make sure you do have 2 brand new washers, as the old ones may not seal if you try to reuse them. Alright, so we got the top of the line back on with the Banjo bolt, and as you can see, what's nice is that this line actually fits into a groove inside the pump, so you don't really need to hold anything or keep anything from turning, as this line will not turn with the groove of the pump. I did find a torque specification that is 44 foot-pounds for this bolt. That's what Nissan recommends to get those copper washers to seal. So now let's go down and worry about the other end of the line. Alright, so I went ahead and put the fitting back on, and our bracket as well. Went ahead and degreased everything with some brake cleaner just to get all the old grease off. That way when we start it up and bleed the system, we can confirm that there are no new leaks. So right now we are pretty much done except for the fluid. So we're going to go up top and add fluid into the reservoir and bleed the system. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and add our power steering fluid into our reservoir. You should know that the reservoir is empty right now because we broke open the system and all the fluid went out. So what we need to do is bleed the air out of the lines, out of the pump, out of the rack, and make sure there isn't any, so we won't have any problems there. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up, start up the truck, and I'm going to turn the wheel all the way to the left and then all the way to the right. I'm going to shut it off and recheck our level. Alright, so let's fire it up. Now you will experience a little bit of noise. That's just the air in the system. Don't be alarmed, it's completely normal. Yeah, I'm definitely getting some noise. So let's go ahead and let's check the reservoir. As you can see, it's pretty empty again. So I'm just going to do this a couple more times. Give the wheel a spin. Yep, all the noise is gone. That's definitely good. Let's go ahead and check that level one more time. All the way to the top. That's perfect. It is a good idea to go ahead and check your level a day or two later. As air is still in the system, the level will eventually go down a little bit. So if it's a little high initially, that's no problem. As long as it's not leaking out of the cap and pushing back, that's good. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Our level has gone down a little bit to our normal level, which is good. I hope this video has helped you guys out, maybe saved you a little bit of money, and as you can see, the job isn't too difficult. So if you did like it, please like and subscribe. It helps me out. And if you have any questions, please leave something down in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to you guys quickly. And if you do it a different way, I'd like to hear about it too. So go ahead, guys. Thanks for watching, and take care.